Okay, so let's dive into Baxter's training so we can stay consistent at home. We want to reward Baxter when he does the correct behavior or command. That way we can encourage him to continue to listen to our commands, and we want to use our training tools to follow through if he chooses not to listen to our commands. So let's start off with his slip collar. His slip collar, we're going to put that on him whenever we want to have him on the leash. So whenever we take him for a walk, we're going to use the slip collar, and we're actually going to attach the leash to this end. This is helpful so he can't actually slip out of the collar, and we can guide him as needed. So when we're working with Baxter, let's say we take him for a walk, we're going to use the heel command. Heel means walk next to me on a loose leash. You're going to use that command for about 85 to 90% of your walk in a nice structured heel. The other 10 to 15%, we can give him the free command, which is the release word for you no longer have to be in a command. That gives him the length of the leash to explore and sniff around. So back to the heel. When he's doing a good job, we want to reinforce that with praise, petting, and treats. Petting and walking is a little difficult to do at the same time, so I recommend using praise and treats to encourage him to stay in the heel position and walk next to you. We're also going to follow through with the leash if he chooses not to listen to the heel command. So when we're walking him and he's supposed to be in the heel, if he tries to walk ahead or walk to the side or walk anywhere other than walking politely next to us on a loose leash, we're going to say no, give the leash a little tug, and remind him heel. So we're going to say no, follow through with the tug, and then tell him what he's supposed to do so he can get it right the next time. Then we don't want to reward right after we say no. We want to wait a few steps once he's back in the heel. Okay, good heel. This is what you do to get rewards. So that's how we use his slip collar. Now let's dive into his remote collar and how we can use that to also follow through with our commands. So the collar itself right here has a red dot. That is the magnetic key that turns on the collar. The matching red dot is actually on the remote. It's right here. So we need to touch those two together and we'll see a green light flash, and that means that his collar is on. We still have to turn the remote on separately. So on the remote, the backhand side, we're going to push and hold that button until the screen lights up. And then we're going to focus on the black S button for Baxter, the black S button. I will go over all the other features of the remote collar at the end of the video. So we're going to pretend my hand here is Baxter and we're on a walk. So we're heeling on this walk and he tries to walk ahead because he sees a distraction. We're going to say no, heel, no, heel, along with a little tug of the leash to remind him of what he needs to be doing. This allows us to follow through and let him know that, hey, heel means walk next to me on a loose leash, even if there's distractions around. So we say no to mark the incorrect behavior, follow through, and then remind him heel. And then, of course, when he goes back to doing a good job, a few steps later, good heel, and then we can reward. So I can barely feel that. Level 15 is pretty low as far as the levels go. This may change for Baxter. Level 15 is working for now, but it may change in the future, and I'll show you how to do that at the end of the video. So we're going to use these tools to follow through with all of our commands. So if he chooses not to follow through or not do the commands that you're asking him, he understands that there is a consequence to follow. So he has the choice to listen or not, but he understands that if he doesn't, there's a consequence, and then he's still going to have to do the command. And if he does listen to the command, we are going to reward that with praise, treats, and petting. So let's move on to sit. Sit and down and place all means stay is implied until he is told the release term free. So when we work on sit, we focus on door manners, or when we stop walking, we have him sit just to keep him next to us. So when we're going through a door, we go up to the door, have him sit. As you open the door, give him a little reminder to stay by saying sit again. Then you have two options. You can either remind him sit and you go through the door and then tell him free, or you can have him sit, open the door, and then tell him free or heel and walk through the doorway together. That way he doesn't run out in front of you. So either way, whatever works for you. Then we have down stay. Down means lay down and stay. It doesn't mean don't jump. You can just say no. If he jumps, just say no and follow through with the collar, and then when he has all 4 feet on the floor, we can reward. But the command down actually means lay down and stay in that position until he is told free. You'll see a great example of this at the store where he did an amazing down stay with distractions. So when we're practicing down, we don't release from a distance. So we don't go 10 to 20 feet away and then tell him free and call him to us. What we want to do is instead have him in the down stay, do our distractions, and then we go back to him and reward him for staying in the down. That's going to create a really strong stay, and then we free him right next to him. We don't free him from a distance because then that'll weaken the stay, and what he'll think is, oh, I'm going to get my treat if I get up and go to my mom, so he's going to get up versus staying in the down. So we always go back to him, reward, and then tell him free. If he gets up, no, down, and then use a little leash to tug if needed. But primarily use the remote to correct if he breaks the command or gets up before you tell him free. Then we have place. Place is a boundary stay on a bed. I recommend using this command when you're having guests over. That way he can still be a part of the fun, but he's not jumping all over them. As long as all 4 feet are on the bed, he is on place. He can stand, sit, or lay down. We're going to encourage laying down by rewarding it. Whenever we do give a reward on place, we're going to put the treat on the bed so he knows that the bed is what's the positive zone. He knows that when all 4 feet are there, the bed produces treats. Again, with down, same thing with place. We always go back to him and tell him free. We don't free from a distance. Then we have come when called. So we're going to tell him free. He can wander and explore, but I recommend having a 30 to 50 foot long leash on him, especially if you're not in a fenced in area. That way, if he doesn't come to you, you have a safety net to reel him in. So when he's in a free, he can sniff, wander around, and you're going to call him to come to you. So Baxter, come, or just the come command. When he's running to you, you're going to praise the action. You're going to reward the action of him running to you, have him sit, and then reward with a treat. You want to make sure you reward this command over and over and over again. That way he has a positive reward history with coming back to you. A reward history is just making sure he has a positive association with doing that behavior or command with you. So if he doesn't come back when you call, no, correction, give the command. Same thing with all of the other commands. If he gets up from place, no, place. If he gets up from down, no, down. So with the come command, the only difference is when you give a correction out there, when he does come to you, he still gets a reward because the correction happened over there. The action of coming to us when we call is not a correction. He still gets a reward for that. Then we have leave it. You're going to practice with dog safe foods where you just drop a piece of food on the floor. You tell him leave it. If he does, great, praise, reward that. If not, you can use this, leave it. You just say leave it, and that is the correction term. You can say no, leave it if you want, but you can also just use the phrase leave it and give him a correction if needed. So when you take Baxter home, you want to have fun, stay consistent, and now we're going to show you an example of all of his commands. Down. Good boy. Good. Down. She's not working today.
Oh, she's not.
Good. Down. Good. Down. Good. Down. Good boy. Good. Down. Good job.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Free. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good heel. 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 Good boy. Ah. Sit. Good boy. Heel. Ah. Sit. Boy, hands down. Good boy. Sit. Leave it. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. Okay. Good job. Good boy. Leave it. Good boy. Good boy. Free. Okay. Look. Okay. Good job. Good job. Did you? You are a good boy. Free. Okay. Okay. Ready? Ready? Leave it. Good boy. Good job. Good boy. Hey, Baxter. Place. Good boy. Place. Okay, so let's go over the other features of the remote collar. So we're going to focus on the black S button with Baxter. That is at level 15. The red S button is for emergencies. So we have not needed this yet for Baxter, but you want to have it just in case. So the red button is going to make the level go from 15 to plus 15, which is 30. So this is if he were to run towards the road and you need to get him back quickly and you've said no, come, and you've tried level 15 and he is not coming back. What happens is when his adrenaline's right here, level 15 works great and below. But if he's chasing something, his adrenaline might come up here and 15 isn't going to get his attention. So we need to have that little boost to get his attention if needed. We have not needed this yet for Baxter, but you have it just in case. Then we have this T button over here. This is vibrate. So I use this when I turn the collar on. I push vibrate a few times to make sure that I've actually turned this on. Because of the magnet, you could accidentally swipe it and then you've turned the collar off. So I like to make sure that the collar's on by pushing vibrate. In the future, you can actually use vibrate as a warning. So if he's doing pretty good, but he's like starting to act up a little bit, hey, remember what you're supposed to be doing. But I wouldn't recommend just starting off with vibrate because you want him to respect the commands that you give him the same way he did here, and we did not use this as a warning yet. Then we have the on-off button in the back is also a light, so you can see Baxter at night. So if instead of pushing and holding this to turn the remote on and off, tap, tap, tap. So to turn the collar off, it can last about 2 days on a charge. You can actually turn it off the same way you turned it on by touching the two magnetic keys. That turns the collar off. To turn the remote off, the on-off button, push and hold that, and it turns the remote off. So it should last about 2 days on a charge if you turn it off at night, and then I would charge it every other day. This M/C button on the back you do not have to worry about. It changes the stimulation from being momentary to continuous. He does not need continuous right now. We use that at a much lower level to show him that the remote actually would give him treats after a stimulation. So we would stim at a really low level, ask him to do something, and then give him a treat. He's past that point, so now we just use this as needed, only when he doesn't follow through with one of our commands. So level 15 is working for him right now. Let's say in the future level 15 doesn't seem to get his attention. What we can do is we can adjust the level by pushing down and holding the dial until the 1D at the top starts flashing. Then we can turn the level lower or higher as needed. So if he is not respecting your commands at level 15, I would suggest turning it to 20. And then if that's not working, 25. And then if level 15 seems like he's reacting a bit too much to it, you can turn it down to level 10. But right now, level 15 is working out really great for him. It's enough to get his attention, but not enough to scare him. And then once we have it back to where we want it, we push down and hold it. And now we can't accidentally turn it up or down if it's in our pocket. This is rechargeable and it is waterproof, so I recommend keeping that rubber tab closed. That way water doesn't get into the electronic part. Same thing for his collar. Keep that closed there. And then this does have to fit pretty snug around Baxter. We need to only be able to fit 1 to 2 fingers in between the collar so the contact points can weave through his hair and make good connection with his skin. He does have the extenders on because his hair is pretty long and thick right now. You can change those out if you give him like a summer cut. We do have these shorter prongs that you can change out using this tool, or you can leave the long ones on, that's fine. But if you give him a really short haircut in the summer, I recommend changing him to the shorter prongs. And then if you're going to grow his hair out longer in the winter, change him out to the longer prongs. This is his charger. It's going to charge both his remote and collar at the same time. Again, they can last a couple days on a charge, and I wouldn't leave them on the charger overnight because that'll wear down the battery. Under here, we have his instruction manual that goes over all the buttons in greater detail. And it is also, it has a 2-year full warranty, so if anything happens, you can contact the company and get a part replaced if anything happens to it. Like I said, it is waterproof, but you want to make sure if he gets wet or goes swimming or anything and water gets underneath the collar, you want to make sure to dry him and his hair thoroughly. That way he doesn't get a bacteria spot or a hot spot under there, because it is going to fit so snug. It's just like if we wore a watch and never took it off. We want to make sure we take it off and let that area dry out before we put the collar back on. And then I recommend a couple days on one side, a couple days on the other side. That way his neck just gets a nice even, it doesn't get a pressure point. Just every once in a while it's on this side and every once in a while it's on that side, but again it has to fit snug so the contact points can make good connection on his skin. Plus we don't want it loose, because if it's loose it'll rub and that can cause irritation on his skin. So those are the other features of his remote collar. Remember to have fun and stay consistent when you're working with him, and let us know if you have any questions.